It's with great pleasure that I welcome back Dr. Sean Patel, who's the CEO and founder of Prep Expert, the title sponsor of the College Admissions Process podcast. Sean, you have a special message for the listeners?
Hey, John, I just wanted to mention for all the parents and students who are listening to this great podcast, we have a really special offer only for listeners of the College Admissions Process podcast for Prep Expert. So if your student is going to be taking an online SAT, ACT, PSAT course anytime soon, or is looking for one-on-one tutoring with top 1% tutors, head over to prepexpert.com. We offer live online courses for every college admissions exam. On top of that, we have the best score guarantees, best curriculum, and best instructors in the test prep industry. And just for listeners of the College Admissions Process podcast, you can get 20% off any online SAT or PSAT or ACT course, as well as one-on-one tutoring. So you can get 20% off. Just make sure you use the promo code College Talk. That's one word, College Talk, and you'll get 20% off just for listeners of the College Admissions Process podcast. And I hope you guys can use that to your advantage, save a bunch of money at prepexpert.com.
Thank you so much, Sean. And to everyone out there, once again, that promo code is College Talk. That's one word, College Talk. Thank you all, and best wishes.
Welcome to The Cap, where we are here to speak with college reps and other professionals in the field of college admissions to help answer all your questions and guide you through every step of the process. So if you're serious about college admissions, you've come to the right place. Are you ready? Let's talk about it. And now, here's your host, Dr. John Durante.
Welcome to The Cap, the College Admissions Process podcast. I am your host, John Durante, and it gives me great pleasure to welcome back Dr. Jen Gagne, who's the Executive Director of Admissions at Colorado School of Mines. Now, Jen was here with us on episode 236, which was released back in August of 2024. Jen, it's so good to see you again. How are you?
It's so great to see you too, John. So glad I got to see you at NACAC. I'm doing really well as we're in the end of October right now. Wild.
It is wild, and it's always a pleasure to see you each year at the NACAC conference. We really appreciate the friendship, the mentorship, and, again, your willingness to come back. Now, Jen, Mines has some incredible traditions, clubs, and even intramurals. How do these experiences contribute to the strong sense of community and student retention on your beautiful campus?
Oh, yeah. So excited to talk about Mines. And it is really fun to be able to share all the great things that we provide for our students. We like to say we engineer our engineers because all of our students are scientists and engineers. Those are rigorous fields of education. They demand a lot of attention and a lot of time, but we really infuse collaboration instead of competition for our students. And we do it from day one of our welcome program. That's called our Hell of a Welcome Week. And our fight song has 12 references to being a hell of an engineer, which is why we call it Hell of a Welcome Week. And especially at Ore Digger Camp, we take students up to Estes Park in Rocky Mountain National Park, and they participate in a variety of different engineering and different activities that helps get to know each other. They work with current students and faculty, staff, and alumni, and it really helps to create that sense of community. And then the week ends with our M Climb, which is where students get a 10-pound rock from the hometown. They bring it to Mines campus and they carry it as they walk up Mount Zion, and then they place it on our M. And we like to say we climb together at Mines. And so we mean that obviously literally because we are climbing together on the M Climb, but also figuratively. Because we know that it's a challenging education, but we want to be there to support students along their way. And so that's how we really kick things off every year. Every year, our current students are participating in those programs to help welcome the newest set of ore diggers on campus. And then on campus, it just continues. I was able to check out our sports and really proud our club cycling team just won their 7th consecutive national championship title. Our club esports team has been earning victories within their national collegiate play. Our men's and women's diving is back for our D2 varsity team, and our intramural sports are rocking and rolling all the time. So the clubs and organizations that students participate in while they're a student at Mines is really intentional. And we are excited about that because students aren't competing with, let's say, if they want to write for our newspaper, they're not competing with journalism majors. If they want to act in our Mines Little Theater, they're not competing with musical theater students, right? Everyone is an engineer and scientist. Everyone has homework and lab. And so they're really together and supporting one another and eager to see everyone achieve. And so it's really awesome to be able to see everyone just doing their best, linking arms, doing Mines together, and knowing that everyone has the ability to graduate.
Well, I love how you talk about the fact that you engineer our engineers. I think that's awesome. And the emphasis on the collaboration and all of your programs, which is so non-competitive on your campus. And speaking of programs and experiences, Jen, programs like the Edgar Experimental Mind, the Labriola Innovation Hub, and the McNeil Center for Entrepreneurship give students hands-on experiences, which I know Mines is extremely well known for. Are there any new initiatives or recent student projects you're excited about, and how are they helping students grow academically, creatively, or even professionally?
Absolutely. I have to brag on Orbital Mining Corporation. It's an early stage space mining startup, and it was started by two Mines graduate students in our Space Resources program, Chris Tolton and Ken Liang. Last year, they won $500,000 in NASA's Watts on the Moon Challenge for its lunar power transmission and storage system. So they're working with this startup. They and also within our programs, our Space Resources program, we built a large lunar surface simulator to test lunar rovers and to evaluate lunar landing and launch pads. And so those were two fun things to think about. That's obviously it's within our grad student space, but again, just goes to show kind of that hands-on, always looking towards the future of what are the next problems that we're going to need to solve? How do we make sure that we have the best facilities and the best minds really working on all of this? And then at the undergraduate level, our undergrads, they're able to participate in leadership from day one. We have FIRST as our first year research program, as well as MRF and SURF. It's a Mines Undergraduate Research Fellowship and Summer Undergraduate Research Fellowship. So that SURF program, the students just participated in a fall undergraduate research symposium. They presented posters on topics that included recycling spent lithium-ion batteries, small-scale recycling in Colombia, localized drug delivery solutions for women's health, and more. So the topics that they're doing and the experiences that they're getting, conducting the scientific research, learning how to present it for judges as well as the layperson, right? Because some of the poster presentations, it's like, that is fascinating, and I don't know what that means as a non-scientist and a non-engineer, but I'm continually blown away. And so it's giving them this real world experience. They're able to put that on their resume. It takes the pressure off of that next time they do it, right? Next time they're like, okay, I've done this before, so it's not my first time. And it just really is able to add to their resume, add to that professional expertise. So then when they go out looking for a job, they're ready to go.
Well, there's definitely lots of innovation at Mines, and I love how you talked about all those real-world experiences so that when they do leave Mines, they're ready for whatever career paths are in front of them. So we appreciate that. And of course, Jen, you know that so many students and their families, they want to hear about that thing we call the application review. So when reviewing applications, how do you balance standardized test scores, transcripts, extracurriculars, and other elements to get a full picture of each of those students that apply?
So we look at the entirety of the student's application. We evaluate everything holistically, which means that we are reading everything that a student sends into us. We review letters of recommendation, supplemental essay questions, and we look into the high school transcript. So we're not just looking at a GPA or a test score, right? We're looking, what does that mean? How have students done in specific classes, especially math and science, since that is really our foundation. And so we pull everything out. We want to know, what have you done outside of the classroom? What have you participated in, whether it's a part-time job, you've helped your family in some sort of way? We want to know everything that a student is doing, as well as what they're doing in the classroom. Obviously, the classroom experience is of most importance for us, because when we say yes to admitting a student, we want to make sure that we're saying, yes, you can graduate from Mines and you can complete this rigorous education. So that does matter most. But it is of amazing importance when students are also participating in a collaborative organization, and they're also taking AP or IB or dual concurrent enrollment classes. So really, we look at everything and we combine it all together to make a decision as to whether or not we're going to admit a student.
Well, I appreciate that you talk about the importance of the academic part, right? You're looking at the transcript and other indicators of academics, because not only do you want to admit students, but you want to ensure that they can, in fact, graduate from Mines. So I think that's just a very important point to repeat. And Jen, what would you say are some areas where students can strengthen their applications to better reflect their academic abilities and their personal stories?
Absolutely. We will look at what students have had access to within their high school environment. So I think it's a really important item to stress for all students. We're not going to compare you to another school that might have different opportunities for you. But within your educational environment, do you have access to take honors courses? Do you have access to take an advanced math or advanced science courses? Do you have STEM electives available to you? Again, not everyone does, but if you do, and that's something that you're interested in taking, we would love to see that. So we want to see you challenge yourself with what you've had available to you. And then within your personal story, I was just talking with some prospective students, and they asked you look at all 4 years, and no matter whenever COVID happened for a student, there were times where maybe you struggled, or, the transition into high school didn't go so well. And what we want to see is the sustained energy and effort that's put forth for your academics. So maybe if that transition didn't go so well and your high school grades from that 9th grade wasn't as great, if you've done better, that's great. We want to see upward trends. We want to see you continuing to work hard. And there's a spot on the application where you can share some more information. We've read applications from students who have suffered some tragedies, had personal challenges that have come up, and we want students to tell us about those things, because if all of a sudden we see this wonderful transcript, but there's a semester that maybe doesn't look so great, it looks a little bit out of place, we want students to be honest with us and tell us, because if we don't know, then we're just going to wonder why. But if you let us know, then that helps make us understand what you were actually working through and how you continued to showcase that effort and energy.
Well, you made a lot of great points. First of all, emphasizing the fact that you review each student based on the context of their high school, what is available to them. And I love how you talked about the fact that you're not going to compare them to another student from another school who may have had far more opportunities, as opposed to that student that you're reviewing who maybe had less in some other school. But I also love how you talked about the additional information section on the Common App, for example, where if there's something that you haven't been able to portray in your personal essay, on your activity sheet, or anywhere else, and you want to say more to the admissions rep, I think it's very important to use that additional information section, because students, anything that you don't put in what we call the marketing package, the overall application, you're leaving it up to the admissions representatives to speculate as to why. So to Jen's point, if you get a lower grade in 9th grade, 10th grade, whatever it is, and there's a reason for that, use the additional space to explain why. Again, otherwise you're leaving it up to the admissions professionals to speculate, and that's never a good idea, right? You want to create an entire picture of yourself. Anything more you want to add about that, Jen?
Something else that they can add is the letter of recommendation piece. So again, you want to get someone who knows you. And we often get students ask, does it need to be someone within a science or a math course? It doesn't have to be. It just needs, the more important thing is that someone who can speak to you. So someone who knows you, it could be a coach, it could be a supervisor from a job that you've held, or a teacher in an English class, but they can also bring that perspective of knowing you, especially if you have worked through something that's been really challenging. If they can speak to that, look, I saw them persist. I saw them get through this because, like we know within scientific research, you're going to fail, you're going to stumble, you're going to have struggles or challenges. And so you want that to be, you want to be aware of that, and you want to be able to showcase how you worked through that challenge.
Well, I appreciate you mentioning the letter of recommendation, which is extremely important because a point that we try to make a lot of times on the podcast episodes is that, first of all, students, rather than just leaving it to a teacher to write whatever they want, if there's a certain something that they give you accolades about, perhaps, when you speak in class, everybody listens, right? If they say that to you, or if they said that to your parent, maybe ask them if they could write about something like that. Or if you've taken on an initiative in a club or what have you, ask them if they could write about that specific thing so that you're getting an overall better picture of who you are in the application, as opposed to leaving it up to someone to write a letter of recommendation where they may, for example, just repeat things that are clearly evident on the transcript or the activity sheet, not adding much more to your overall application. So students, if there's something, whatever that thing is, don't be bashful to ask teachers to write about that specific thing. And it's interesting because another piece of advice that I heard recently was, Colorado School of Mines. So students, I would imagine, they may think, oh, it's the Colorado School of Mines. They're huge on engineering and so much more, but I have to have a math teacher and I must have a science teacher. And the advice that one of the reps said recently is that, consider this. If you're asking a math and a science teacher, they're probably going to focus on your analytical skills, which I think is extremely important. But, maybe, you do get a math teacher, but then perhaps you get someone from the humanities side. So again, you're getting different perspectives to really come up with the most complete overall package, if you will. What do you think about, Jen? Am I off, or are we on to something?
We're definitely on to something. Yes, that does matter, that well-roundedness. And, a lot of students ask us if they have to continue writing in college and writing at Mines. And the answer is yes. We want you to be well-rounded engineers and scientists. We want to graduate well-rounded students. You will have to write, maybe it's lab reports, but we want you to dive into the ethics of engineering, right? We talk about machine learning, and someone is training someone, to do that work. And we want to make sure that you are aware of that, and how communicating is an important aspect of getting a job, being, again, showcasing your poster session. You can know everything about your research, but if you can't communicate that effectively to someone else, it's not going to get you far.
Such a great point. And speaking of writing and communicating, there's this thing called a personal statement I heard. So Jen, Could you share an example of an essay or a personal statement that really stood out for being authentic and memorable?
So here's my thing. We have a new supplemental question this year. And so I'm not going to share any because we haven't released any decisions yet, but we're really excited about our question. Our question is, what element on the periodic table best represents you and why? And I can tell you the ones that we have been reading have been great. It has been fascinating to watch how students have been able to dig in and get really excited about the ways an element matches themselves. I've heard things like, like how iron is hardened, and this is something that I'm leaning into. We were wondering how many people would maybe talk about gold being their favorite element since we're in golden. But it's been really great to see students shine. And I will say it's been nice to see the students smile when they get asked that question too. A lot of our students have just lit up. They're like, yes, thank you so much for asking this. This is great.
That's fantastic. And I'm sure they've come up with amazing and creative ideas for sure. But What kinds of experiences, Jen, would you say, or achievements in the applicants really stand out most during the review? A lot of people think that they're applying to, the School of Mines, and so they must be in robotics or engineering club and what have you. So what do you have to say about that in terms of overall experiences?
Oh, yeah. For me, it's got to be authentically a student. And I know we talked about this a little bit last time, but it's easy to tell when something isn't authentic for a student, when they're writing about something because they think it's what we want to hear. And I can't emphasize that enough. There are no secrets to what we're looking for. We're not looking for this is the answer. This is what you need to do. We want to know about you. I love bringing up a conversation that I had with a prospective student, and she wanted to talk about her garden in her application. I said, yes, please share about your garden. Tell me about why that interests you, why you're passionate about it. It doesn't necessarily have to make a connection to mines. Those supplementals there is one that does say, why do you want to be an Ordiger and what do you want to study? And that one, yes, please talk about your interest in mines. But in other areas, share about what you're interested in. Again, everyone at mines, although they're all scientists and engineers, they're interested in so many other diverse topics beyond science and engineering. And so we want to know that about you too.
Well, I think that's such a great point. Be authentic. And students, don't forget that whatever it is you do, and there's no prescribed activity that you must do, right? Whatever it is that you do, however, don't forget to explain why you do it. What's your passion about it? What does it mean to you? What is the reason why you do it, as opposed to just creating a list of activities with no other explanation as to your why? So I think that's great information. And another thing that comes up a lot when people email me and speak to me, it's about this thing called institutional priorities, Jen. So how do Mine's institutional priorities influence admissions decisions, particularly for out-of-state students? And what should prospective students understand about their overall opportunities?
Absolutely. So we are a public university, and as such, our mission is to educate Coloradans, but we also bring in students from all 50 states as well as several different countries. So within that, we want students to know about mines. We want students to find out about mines, and there are a lot of ways to do that virtually. So as much as we would love to have every prospective student come out to Colorado and visit our campus, and please, if you do have the means to do so, we absolutely encourage that. We have a wonderful experience right off of our campus. But if you can't, we have a great virtual tour. We offer webinars on how to apply to mines. We are a demonstrated interest school. And so what that means is when you are engaging, whether it's calling us, sending an email, being able to, reading your emails that we're sending to you, or asking us what happens after you visit or anything like that, that goes far for us. And so we want to know that you have actually done some homework, that you know a bit about us. Even if you're only looking at institutions that provide engineering and applied science, we still want you to know about us. We want you to know about our hands-on opportunities. We want you to know that we're, at the foothills of the Rockies, and when we have a mine and we have all these, great opportunities for you to get involved. So the things that you can do online, kind of from the comfort of your own home as an out-of-state student, does go far. And we travel all over the country. And so we will reach out to you and let you know if we're in your neck of the woods, whether it's at a college fair, a high school visit, or an event that we're hosting. If you can attend that, even if you just reach out and say, hey, I'd love to set up a virtual information session or a Q&A, we would love to engage with prospective students.
Well, I appreciate how you're encouraging students to definitely reach out, but also after a visit or perhaps a webinar, to reach out and really, leave your impressions so that you're putting a name with your application. And I also appreciate how you touched upon your mission, which of course is to educate the great people from the great state of Colorado. So can you share more about Mine's institutional priorities, how they play a role in admissions decisions, and how they might shift from year to year? In other words, for example, Jen, is there an institutional priority in terms of the number of students that you're permitted to accept from outside of the great state of Colorado?
Yes. So we have to enroll at least 55% of our undergraduate students from Colorado. And so we're allowed up to 45% of our students from out of state. And typically we're right around that mark. So we have about 55% students from Colorado and 45% from out of state. And I think that makes a really nice balance of students. They're able to get experience and knowledge and meet people from all over the country. And then in terms of our institutional priorities, we really want students who are ready for the academic rigor of Minds. They're ready to get their hands dirty, to be involved in this hands-on learning, to work with each other as in teams, and to really try to lean into what the problems are going to be. In terms of our incoming class and our undergraduate student size, we are limited in capacity, and so we're not looking to grow. We are, 1,600 incoming students, about 6,200 undergraduate students, and that's not going to change. We are looking to increase our master's programs, our master's non-thesis and certificate programs. So maybe if you want to get a grad degree, that is something that we're always encouraging students to take a look at. But we really want students who are going to be really excited about attending Minds, that Minds is just going to be the place for them.
Hey, podcast friends, if you've been enjoying the College Admissions Process podcast, I'm excited to share my new book, Straight from the Admissions Office, Insider Strategies for College Applications. It's packed with insights and tips from over 250 podcast episodes with admissions professionals designed to make the college process less overwhelming. Whether you're a student, parent, or college counselor, it's a valuable resource for navigating the admissions process. By grabbing a copy, you're also helping to support the podcast. The links are in the show notes. Thank you, and best wishes to all with the college admissions process. Well, we really appreciate that, and I agree. It's definitely a good balance. 55% of your students are from the great state of Colorado, 45% from out of state. Just curious, because I could hear parents and students in my mind in the background asking me, well, why don't you ask her about, are there any minimums, for example, in math and science, because it's the Colorado School of Mines. So please, John, ask that. So Jen, tell us, what are you looking for when you're reviewing the transcript in terms of the level, right, at the science and math levels?
Yes. And this has become such a focus, especially when we think about math education in high school. And it's one of my soapboxes, if anyone has talked to me recently. So for us, we want students to have completed 4 years of math in high school with at least pre-calc or trig at a minimum. And then for science, we want students to have completed 3 years of lab-based science, chemistry or physics at a minimum, ideally both, and then all other high school graduation requirements. So we'll get students ask us, do you have a world language requirement? No. If that's a requirement for your high school, then yes, it is. But for us, it's really that math and science preparation. And my big encouragement to students is, if you are considering science or engineering, calculus is important. So pre-calculus is really important. If you have the ability to do that, I'd really encourage you to take that. There's a lot of push into statistics after in Algebra 2, which unfortunately doesn't meet our admissions requirements. And so I know there's a talk about kind of real world math from that national level, but if you are thinking engineering or science, calculus is still going to be really fundamental. That is our foundation of our learning and really important to complete.
Well, thank you so much for that. And I know many students who actually double up for the reason that you're mentioning, right? If you want to be an engineering major, the calculus levels, whether you take, for example, AP Calculus AB or BC, whatever is the right fit for the particular student. But I know many of them actually double up in statistics in senior year or perhaps even junior year, because it is an important mathematic function to know about. However, your point about pre-calculus and calculus is well taken, Jen. So thank you for that. And Minds, of course, has strong connections with alum, industry partners, and even investors. So Jen, how do these relationships support students' career exploration and internship experiences?
Oh, it is really, really wonderful to see. To see it happen is just amazing. We have over 1,600 companies recruiting our students for internships and jobs each year. We have the largest career fair in the Rocky Mountain region. And because we have such a solid reputation within STEM fields, within engineering and applied science, we are known for both educating and providing that hands-on training that is going to make sure that students are up and running from day one in their companies. And the fact that a lot of times our Minds alum are coming back to campus and recruiting other Minds students. And so that is just so wonderful to see. I've been working with our Minds alumni board, and it is really amazing to talk with CEOs of really well-known companies who are looking to give back and support future ORDIGers. So there is so much, I keep saying, like, we're so in the know. And so that means that we are constantly connected with industry to ensure our educational outcomes are strong, our hands-on learning opportunities are meeting what industry is needing, that we are meeting those demands. I always like to bring up our construction engineering major was created in partnership with Kiewit because they saw a need for more construction engineers, and they helped us understand here are the key aspects that need to be included. So again, students are going to go out and succeed.
Well, that's terrific. Over 1,600 companies, which really is fascinating. That's amazing opportunities for the students, not only during their time on campus, but helping them again with their pathways. So, Jen, what types of scholarships or merit-based aid does Minds offer, and how can prospective students best position themselves to be considered for all of your opportunities?
Oh, yes. We review students' applications both for admission as well as merit opportunities. So when students are applying, they need to brag about themselves. So students, remember, I know it's a hard thing to do, but if you don't share with us something on your application, we don't know about it. And we take into consideration your rigor in high school, so your GPA, your test scores. If you submit them, we are still test optional, remaining test optional for the foreseeable future. If you submit test scores, we'll consider that as well. But then we want to know, again, what have you done outside of the classroom? We'll take all of that into consideration and then award you merit when you receive your admission decision. And so right now it's up to $8,000 a year for in-state, up to $16,000 a year for out-of-state. And so that's just based off of your application. You don't have to fill out any other supplemental questions. But again, we're going to take a look at that rigor. We're going to take a look at what you've done outside of class, why you want to be at Minds, what you're interested in studying. Again, send us everything so we can take a look at all of that. And then after that, we'll open up our general scholarship application. And we have a variety of different scholarships available for students to apply to. Some are a couple thousand, others go up to full tuition, and those are very competitive. So that involves a separate application, and it does sometimes involve an interview process, but we encourage students to complete those and see what else they're eligible for. And those are all based off of merit as well, so they're not need-based.
Well, thank you so much for the overview, and you've given so many tips and insights. Jen, before we get to the last question, I always like to ask, is there a question that I didn't ask that you wish I had, or a topic that didn't come up that you'd like to share with our listeners now?
So last year, we talked a little bit about, we were just on the verge of breaking ground on our quantum commons in Arvada. And since then, it's been really neat to just hear more of what's happening. We're a partnership with Elevate Quantum, but we own and operate that quantum commons, and it's 10 minutes away from campus. It's the largest quantum ecosystem in the United States. And so that's really exciting because that's going to continue to be an area that we're investing in, that we're leaning into. We have a quantum program at the grad level and a minor at the undergrad level, and perhaps maybe we might be able to offer something more at the undergraduate level. So maybe next year when we chat again, I'll be able to share. But it's just an example of how we are, again, not only on campus ensuring this information and education for our students, but off campus and really, again, engaging with industry partners, trying to really be at the forefront of what is going to be next when we look at and we think about what are the world's problems and how we can solve them. So that's a really exciting area.
Well, that's definitely extremely innovative and forward thinking. And again, like I said earlier, it's amazing to hear all the programs, all of the supports in terms of when your students are there, but also everything that you have in place to really set them up to not only follow whatever pathways they choose to take, but to really be industry leaders in those areas. So, Jen, this has been phenomenal. Unfortunately, it does lead us to that last question, which always is, what are your top 3 pieces of advice for students and their families getting ready for the college admissions process?
Oh, yes. And I love this question. So what I said last time still holds true. And I said, enjoy it, listen to each other, both with parents and students, and breathe through the process. And although those are still true, the other things I'm thinking about now is really to think about what's important for you. So both from a family perspective and from the student perspective, are you looking to go out of state? Are you looking to stay in state? What are you looking to study? Are you looking for suburban, urban? So really just having some time to think about those important aspects. And then whether or not you get to go on campus or off campus, try to talk with students. I love it when our students will come and prospective students visit campus, and they're, of course, engaging with our campus student ambassadors on their tours, but talk to students off of that tour route too. If you can go have lunch somewhere, and if you run into someone, ask them their experience, and then also take a look at where those alumni are going. Again, your college is 4 years or a little bit more, but it's a point in time. But after you graduate from that university, so again, our graduates, we're Orediggers, the Oredigger alumni community is absolutely phenomenal. And if you take a look, and again, it's speaking for me, but for any university that you're looking at, take a look at where those alumni are going and find out, are they in business? What industries are they known for? And what are they doing? How can you see yourself being a part of that community? So taking that and just having this well-informed part of the research and part of the process, I think would be really beneficial.
I think that's such a great point to look at the alumni, look at what industries they're in, what they're doing. And if that's in line, students, with what you want, then that's a great indication that you might have found the right fit. Jen, I can't thank you enough. You're just so awesome. I really appreciate your mentorship, your friendship, and everything that you do for college admissions. Thank you so much for coming back.
Thank you, John. Thanks so much for having me back. I really appreciate it.
It was truly an honor and pleasure. And to everyone out there, good luck with the college search. Take care all, and best wishes.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the CAP, the College Admissions Process Podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, please don't forget to tell a friend. And follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and wherever you listen to your podcasts. I am your host, John Durante, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of The Cap.
Thank you for listening to the College Admissions Process Podcast presented by Prep Expert. Prep Expert offers live online SAT and ACT courses with the best score guarantees, instructors, and curriculum. Go to prepexpert.com to guarantee your child's success.